Great.
Yeah.
So, how would you like me to call you? Day or Mohini? What do you prefer?
Anything that you want to address me, your choice. Yeah. Yeah. I'm cool with Day, Miss Day, Mohini, anything is fine.
What does Sir call you?
He calls me. Sometimes he'll call me Mo. Sometimes he'll say Mohini. Yeah,
Right.
Mo or Mohini. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll go with more then. Right. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I've been really excited to have you in this journey. And of course, I have actually seen you perform in so many of the concerts that I've traveled to in
Oh
different
yeah.
parts of the world. Yeah. I've been to like 16 or 17 concerts so far. So that's
Wow.
that has been my excuse to escape from Australia to meet Sir and all you guys, see you guys perform and then come back. So I usually take like 1 or 2 days off and then fly, watch you guys perform and then come back. So
Oh wow. So you just get out of your country to just see a show and then come
that's it.
back to your
That's
country?
it. That's it.
Wow. That's some
And
serious dedication and
my
love.
parents would be like, okay, when is the next ARR concert so that we can see you? So it's basically like I see you guys. I mean, I see you guys perform in the concert and then make a quick flash visit back home in Bangalore and board my return flight from Bangalore. So that's how I usually plan. So I get to meet my parents for like 3 to 4 hours before my departure flight.
Oh, cool. So your parents live in Bangalore, is it?
That's right. Yes. Yes.
I see. Yeah. I
Yeah.
lived in Bangalore for a year, last year. And
I,
then I moved back to my home city, Mumbai. Yeah. I lived
oh
there for a
yeah.
year though. Yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah.
okay. And you're currently in LA, isn't it? So are you holidaying
I
there
am in
or,
LA. No, not holidaying, but
or a
I
working holiday?
am not working. I'm visiting my husband. He was in India for on a business visa, and he was
Mm,
working in India.
yeah,
And then we got married in Mumbai, and then his visa expired, so he had to come back to
understand.
Los Angeles. And then the pandemic, the Corona
Yeah,
thing was getting
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
So I said, let me wait for a bit, and then when things settle down a bit, then I'll make the visit. So here is me
understand.
making the visit. So I'm here, doing a lot of my recording sessions. I have a
Yeah.
huge client diary that I record for
Mm,
weekly on a weekly basis. So I'll
mm.
usually be doing a lot of recording sessions from my home studio there.
Oh,
Now it's
wow.
here.
Cool.
Yeah, in Mumbai, I have a 3 BHK. One
Nice.
is a studio. So usually when I'm in Bombay, I would record from there. And now I'm in LA, so I'm recording from here.
Nice.
But yeah, it's been like just a little bit over a week I've been in Los
Oh, yeah?
Angeles. So I'm still, yeah, it's just been a little over a week,
Right.
a little over a week. We've been just going out and checking out bands play. I've been
Mm,
seeing
mm.
Mark play with his band and like um yeah, just hanging out.
Nice.
We were apart. We were away from each other for
Right.
like
Of
over
course.
3 months. So now we're just enjoying the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
Make the most of it.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
absolutely
Yeah.
love LA. I was there 6 years ago or something. That was the last time I was in the US. And I love
Mhm.
LA so much. And I used to run around Hollywood Boulevard because I'm into running and stuff as well. I absolutely love running there.
Oh,
Uh,
nice. Yeah.
and then running all the way to check out the Hollywood sign. I can't remember
Okay.
the hill that, yeah. So, and then
Nice.
I used to go to the shopping mall, which is called the Grove or something. The Grove. I don't know.
Yeah, the groove. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And there used to be a coffee shop right at the start of the shopping mall. And yeah, so
Hmm.
those guys were Australians brewing coffee there in the US. So I used to go
Oh,
there
that's
for
cool.
coffees. So
That's
anyway,
nice.
don't want to digress
Wonderful.
much. So yeah, so cool to have you in the as part of my journey. And then I think
Thank you for having me.
and when Ranjit Barot had come on the podcast as well, he very specifically said, you should get Mohini on your journey too. And I said, yeah, she's definitely on my list. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
sorry,
sweet.
sorry about the delayed thing to have you here because I mean I'm doing this journey single-handedly. and I've had like 94 guests so
Oh
far.
no,
So
it worked
I've
out
managed to
perfect
cover
for me. Yeah.
I managed to cover a lot of people, and I still have a long list to go. But still, I'm
Mm.
super, super thrilled that you're part of it. So thanks for accepting my invite. Really appreciate it. Um,
Anytime.
so, look, I mean, also I have to tell you that as part of this podcast journey, Sir's fans started connecting with me, and what's called the I Love ARR community evolved. And then, so there's a huge fan following for you inside the community. So, those guys were pretty excited when I told them that Mohini is coming on the podcast. So, they bombarded me with a lot of questions. So, obviously, I could pick only a handful of them. But
Sure.
anyway, look, the thing is, I am super, super keen to hear all the memories that you can think of, like right from the time you met Sir for the first time, and then where did it really start? What was it
Hmm.
like meeting him for the first time? And then did you always aspire to work with him? Stuff like that. Would love to hear your side of the journey.
Right. A lot of people already know, and a lot of people don't. For people who don't, was playing with Ranjit Uncle Friday, Saturday nights, and after school hours, I would go to his studio and hang out with him and his
Mm,
musician friends. It was like, for me, going to Nirvana studio was
mm,
like, it was my hangout place. I was
mm.
hanging out with 45-year-olds, 50-year-old uncles, brothers, uncles, I used to hang out with them and play with them and learned a lot of things, not just musically, but also on a humane level, picked up on a lot of people's personalities. And
Yeah.
that's why I ended up with a very bold personality at a young age, So when I was probably 14, 15, I would sound like a 30-year-old already, One of the comments I still remember that AR made when I was with him, I think this was in Australia. I can't remember exactly where I may be wrong, but it was somewhere when we were touring, and I think I recorded something for him for one of his songs, and he said, um, "You're like a 40-year-old in your head. Is there something you can't do?" And that was, it was funny, but at the same time, a really nice compliment that he gave me. You
Mm,
know, um, uh, so yeah, I mean, I was gigging with Ranjit Uncle in different clubs and playing with Uncle Louis, playing with a lot of Carnatic bands and stuff. And my name started, making waves in the music industry in
mm,
Bombay. And people started talking about me, and then they wanted to hire me to see, okay, what I'm doing, stuff like that. And I had already started recording for a couple of movies around when I was 13 or 14-ish. And I think around, oh yeah, so the first on the spot jam performance happened with Zakir Ji. I had never never like really jammed with anybody without any rehearsal at that point of time. So one day Ranjit Uncle just called up my dad and he was like, "Hey, why don't you get Mohini to Prithvi Theater? We're doing this like little jam and Zakiji is there." But my father did not tell me Zakiji was there. So I was like 13 years old and I'm like, "Oh, cool, let's go." I'm thinking in my head, I'm going to be like just going to watch, I'm going to be watching a show.
mm.
So I go, this was after school hours. And then suddenly I see Zakiji like sound checking. And then my father tells me, "You're going to be playing with him tonight." And I'm like, "What the hell?" I know who he is. And I was like, "Oh, okay, what do I do? What do I play?" And I'm like nervous, for the first time in my life, you know. And then I started sound checking my bass, and Zakuji came up to me and he was like, "Hey, whatever you want to play, we'll just follow you, and we can just, talk and then do things and stuff." It was very easy. So then I played something and then he joined me and then Ranjit Uncle joined me and then that performance is on YouTube. It says Mohini 13-year-old with Zakir Hussain on YouTube for people who haven't seen. That was my first on the spot performance with anybody. That was my like life's ever first on the spot performance. That was a big learning for me. It gave me an insight of what I needed to learn, what I needed to be strong in certain aspects and subjects of music, foundation. So then I started working harder and harder day by day, and then made more waves in the music industry, and people started hiring me for more upfront performances and upfront movie projects, Then I stopped getting the calls for more laid back projects and more featured things.
Right.
So I started having more fun. And during that time, because I was already, doing a lot of recording sessions, during that time, I got called for one of the recording sessions, just like any other day. I went to Nirvana studio and I recorded on the song. And then I was told that this was AR's song. And I was like, oh, okay. This was like halfway through the song. After I already recorded, I got to know that it was AR's song, So I was like, oh, cool. And at that time, I didn't know how big he was. I knew that he wrote songs like Roja, Hamdam, Chinna Chinna, Asa. I hope I'm saying that right. But Choti Si Asha, all those songs. But I didn't know that, he was like a Grammy Award winner and held Oscars and BAFTA awards and stuff like that. I was not like very knowledgeable and educated on that side of the music, like the contemporary Bollywood. I was only playing like, standards and like pop music and contemporary Indian classical music with Uncle Louis and Ranjit Uncle, all the complicated stuff. I was not like into the whole Bollywood thing. Yeah. So it was like, oh, then I went back home and then I looked him up and then I was like, oh, he's really big, And then I think I got a call from his production team saying, asking me if I would be interested in being a part of his Coke Studio episode for MTV. And I had already done a couple of MTV episodes by then. So I was like, yeah, cool. That would be fun. So, my first official project was Unknown. Obviously, that recording session that I didn't know was of his thing, his movie. It was called Lekar Hum Dewana Dil. I think and I played on, I think, Too Shining, if I'm not wrong. Nice. Very simple song. But later I got a call from him saying that, I really liked your playing. And it was a very simple song. There was not much on it at all. But he wanted, he was interested in hiring me for his Coke Studio episode. So that was really nice. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. I was excited to work with him. And me being like probably 15 that time, I had a little bit of experience working with some artists like Clinton Sarejo, Salim Soleiman, Amit Trivedi, etc. I was very looking forward to this. And then we went to Whistling Woods for rehearsals for the Coke Studio episode. And we had like 3 days to prepare for, I think, 6 songs, I think. It was a very beautiful experience because that was the first time I got to even ideate some of my own parts. So a little backstory on, some of the bass parts that I played on Zaria, on Jagao Mera Des, all those songs that were hit, and that was my technically my first work with him in person, the first meeting with him, he walks in the first day and he's like, we already have like, the charts and everything. So there's a rough idea of what we are looking at, but there's still a lot of room to be creative. And I think he chose musicians based on creative vocabulary. And that's why Sivamani was there, Prasanna Ramaswamy was there, Keba Jeremiah was there, I was there, me having never worked with him, I was there, it was my like first thing, but I think he saw potential in me just by hearing me on that song for his movie. And so he wanted me, and then he came up to me and he said, I was going to hire Tal Wilkenfield for this episode, but when I heard you, I only wanted you. Now,
Nice.
mind you, Tal Wilkenfield is an amazing bass player, and I have looked up to her when I was young, growing up and looking up, trying to look for female bass players, and there were none. And she was one of the few female bass players that I, saw growing up. So she was a great bass player herself. So AR saying that was a big compliment for me. And I smiled, and then we moved on to the second song, third song, and then the last day we were working on Jagao Mera Des and Zaria. Now, those two songs needed some work, needed some creative ideation and creative direction from different musicians. Because by that point of time, like we had already done so much for the other songs that now we have to do something. He had this vision of like picking up creative directions from the musicians that he had hired in the band. So he was like, okay, what can we do here? Give me some ideas. So then like Sivamani came up with that kona called so he came up with that. So then that was used. And then I came up with the bass line for Zaria. Now, that bass line, now I was a very, very shy person. I didn't talk at all at that time. Like, if you ever meet AR, you should ask him. When I started working with him, I did not talk at all. I would just nod my head. Yes, no, okay. And if I had to say something musically, I'd just start playing when nobody's playing. I'd just start playing. So that's how actually he heard me playing that line. He kind of like he understood that I was shy and I didn't want to speak, but I could play my ass off even at that age. So I just started playing that bass line when everybody was silent, and he was like, "Okay, let's use that." So he was like, "Okay, yeah, we'll start the song with the bass line," and then I got a little bit of confidence because he said that. So then I was like, how about you do something before I start playing that bass line? So then he started playing that. So then he was doing that for 4 bars. And then when we went to the shooting set for Coke Studio, when we went for the first take, everybody's on in-ears, right? I'm wearing these huge headphones and stuff. For me personally, I felt like it felt short to me. Like I wanted more of the before the bass line came in. So then on the set, I ended up changing, and I was like, how about you take 8 bars instead of 4 bars, and I will take 8 bars too. And then he was like, okay, let's try it. And then we tried it and it felt great. And then we stuck to that. And that's how Zaria happened, like the start. And then the groove was just kind of like this African, groovy, funky bass line that I came up with. And Sivamani and I just started kind of, just having fun with it. And so these are some stories that not many people know, and Jagao Mera Des has this very complicated unison line that is being played by guitar and bass. Prasanna and I, we made that line together on the staircase of Whistling Woods. AR was like, okay, I'm gonna work on the verse. Why don't you, Prasanna, go out with Mohini and just make like a line or something, and then come back. We'll use that as in the music section. And now this is my first meeting with Prasanna also, Right. So Prasanna, being a teacher himself and being somebody who is so legendary, even today and back then, a lot of guitar players looked up to him. And I had heard a lot about him. I didn't know any of his music, hadn't heard anything, but I knew how like well known he was and how much work he had done for AR. So I was like, oh, cool. Now I get to spend some alone time with him. I'm sure he's going to throw some, some things at me to examine me, to see how much I know, So he started like, ideating this line. And then he started throwing those lines at me, and I picked it up in few seconds. And he was like, okay, great. And then I was like, how about we use a major seventh note instead of a ninth and this and that. And so he was like learning, oh, she knows, like, oh, and then she picked it up like in no time. And then we came in and then we presented it without even rehearsing outside. We just like made the line and then we came in and it's like, okay, AR Prasanna goes, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we just start playing. And I'm like, oh, okay, I better get this right this time,
Yeah.
And then we played the line and he loved it. And he's like, okay, we'll use it in the song. So that's how it happened. And then Prasanna comes up to me and he's like, is there anything you can't play? Because he was like, kind of like testing me at first. And and then, that was a really beautiful start of a really exciting relationship with me and him. And then I was hired for a lot of Prasanna's shows. And then, of course, I became a part of A.R. Rahman's band, and it's been like 8.5 years since then that I've been working with him. It's crazy to even think that it's been so many years that I've been playing in his band and have worked on a lot of his movies and personal private projects.
Yeah, beautiful. Amazing. And of course, look, you obviously had a journey prior to joining Sir's band, right? In terms of playing with Ranjit Barot and then your own journey too, right? And are there things, what I wanted to ask you was there anything that you had to unlearn after you joined the band?
Not really, because I was still learning. I never went to a music school, right? I was, all the basics were taught to me by my father, and then it was kind of my own journey. So I was teaching myself through the experiences that I was having with the people that I was playing with, and then I would get fascinated by tabla sounds and tried to do those things on bass, and then was trying to be more powerful and do the same things on bass, and end up building exercises for myself so that I can be more powerful and play the same things on bass. So like technical things, and harmony and all of that, So it was a journey, definitely, but I was just learning. I didn't have to unlearn anything. Fortunately, I was able to use all the learnings from the Carnatic world and the fusion world and all the complicated stuff that I was already doing. Playing in AR's band was much easier for me. I was able to groove more, and I was able to be the backbone of the band. Bass is not only a part of the rhythm section, but also the melodic section. So sometimes, you gotta, your ears have to be open to both the sides, both the sections. And I was able to apply all those learnings that I had before that in AR's band. And he loved that I had a Western voice to his Indian contemporary melodies, be it Tamil, Telugu, Hindi, whatever. That rhythm section, that blend between me and Ranjit Uncle was very international for the songs, and that's what he loved.
Amazing.
So I think, I think the voice that I and Ranjit Uncle. I mean, Ranjit Uncle, of course, he's just he is who he is. Like without him, I would have never had a voice. Without him in my life, I don't think I would have had such a strong foundation of time, because like growing up playing with a drummer like him since I was 11 was a blessing to me. Learning all his songs, which were so polyrhythmic, which were so hard structure-wise, and everything about his songs. It was not only educational and such a great learning for me, but also at the same time, I would get to hang with him and learn a lot about his outlook towards things and how he dealt with things. And I think 40 or 50% of my personality comes from him,
Nice, amazing. And of course, the other thing that I obviously was very keen to get your perspective on is how do you adapt yourself between Carnatic and the Western influence in a track? Because it's obviously a bit, from at least from my eyes, it's challenging. How do you do it?
I think I've always loved fluctuations.
Right.
I've never really loved to stick to one thing. I loved hopping in and out of different situations. And I always wanted to be a versatile musician. So I enjoyed hopping in and out of different situations, like flying to Chennai, recording on AR's Nuff's project, which was all bass and percussions and a cappella. And then flying back to Bombay and playing all Uncle Louis songs, and then playing all polyrhythmic Ranjit Uncle songs, and then flying back to Chennai again and playing a corporate show with you, Rajesh, and mandolin and Udupa, and playing all Carnatic songs with a lot of Konakol and Tihais and Korves and stuff. And then coming back again and doing my own thing. I started writing my own songs, and then I am, inside, I love listening to George Benson, Algero. So I'm very chill that way inside, but like I get to experience all this fire personalities and fire worlds with fire music inside of them. And I think I've always loved change, and that's why I'm able to do it. If I didn't love it, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed doing it, and also, not to forget, I was flying to US a lot, also playing with a lot of international musicians, and then getting sent a lot of international projects to work on. So yeah, it was a lot of different types of things that I was dealing with. So
Nice.
I think my voice is fusion. That's why I was always called the fusion baby. So
And since you mentioned about fusion, one of the videos that keeps coming up within the I Love AR community is your Mahaganapatim fusion, the Bengaluru Utsav thing. Yeah, that's
that
amazing.
is one of the
The one
most
that you
viral
performed along with
videos.
Prasanna.
With Bala Bhaskar. Yeah. Oh, Prasanna?
Well, wasn't it
Prasanna.
Prasanna?
Well,
Yeah, it was.
oh, so no. Bengaluru, 57th Bengaluru Utsav. Are you talking about the one where I'm wearing this white outfit?
Oh yeah, okay, right. You're right. That's right. So
Yeah.
I actually got mixed
That
up
was
with
in Bangalore.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. That's
right.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is another viral video that you're talking about. The first one that you were talking about was in Bangalore. It was the 53rd Bengaluru Ganesh Utsav with
Yes.
Bala Bhaskar, Rajesh, Udupa, Arun Kumar on drums. And the second one you're talking about
Berkeley.
was at Berkeley College of
Yeah,
Music when
TP
AR
and
was getting felicitated
that's
with
right.
honorary doctorate degree. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
We'll
was
go one after the
Prasanna.
other. I
Prasanna,
want to hear about it because both these videos are amazing. It keeps coming up within the community, and we've watched it so many times.
which one? The Bengaluru Utsav?
Both. Yeah. Mahaganapatim as well as the Tithi and Malarkade.
Right. We never had rehearsals for that show. Never
Right.
did. We just, it was one of those shows where you don't rehearse, you just come and play. But
Yeah.
it turned out to be one of the most special ones, which is so crazy. Like, it just happens sometimes. I didn't know that somebody was shooting. No idea. Bala Bhaskar and I were really good friends, and I
Yeah.
was working for him. I had done a couple of tours before that with him. And I think he was the one. No. I think Udupa was the one to organize this show, and he hired Bala, myself, Arun, and you, Rajesh, and formed this band. And we just got on a call one day, and then we said, hey, we'll do this, and we'll do Surya, one of Bala's songs, and then we'll do Mahaganpati Naman. So we had like a rough set list. And because all the musicians there are very, very, their vocabularies are so strong, and the foundation they've had, the cultural foundation they've had is so strong. That's why we are able to communicate musically on stage and present that type of show even without rehearsals, So yeah, there's not much story to it actually. It's just like one of those performances you just come and play in the green room.
It's
You
amazing,
just like
though. Very well executed, and then I love it.
Yeah, I actually stitched that outfit for myself and
Did you?
designed that outfit for myself. Yes, it was for
Really?
Ganesh Utsav, and I was like, I better wear something that is, it's like I should wear white and not something colorful because I love wearing
You actually
colorful
stitch it
outfits.
yourself.
Yes, I did. Yeah. So I design a lot of my outfits, and when I don't have the time, I get it stitched. And when I have the time, I used to usually stitch, not anymore. I really want to learn how to stitch professionally. properly. I can still like create an outfit and stitch an outfit for myself, but when you turn it around and stuff, like you will see that it's not like
Yeah.
professionally
Yeah.
made.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of my outfits that I've worn are actually stitched by me.
Nice.
Sort of the stage outfits, yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, it's one of those performances you just come
Great.
and you just musically have fun on stage, and it turned out to be really good.
Nice. Nice. And let's talk about the Berkeley
Yeah.
one.
Berkeley one has a good story. So Berkeley College of Music offered me a full scholarship, and I didn't take it because I wanted to experience the real world and wanted to
Yeah.
play with a lot of musicians and stuff. And I was already working, so
Mm.
I didn't. It didn't excite me that much. I
Mm.
just wanted to do what I was doing. And I actually had applied for a fashion college, and I had got selected, so I was excited about that also. And then I had during that time I had also started playing with AR, so
Mm.
I was happy, I
Mm.
was busy, very, very busy. And that was the time Berkeley also offered me a full scholarship. And I was like, I don't know if I want to do this now. I think I'm good, because it was going to be like 3 or 5 years program or something. Then I would
Mm.
have to be in the US studying and all of that.
Mm.
Um, and then I didn't take it. And then after a couple of weeks, they called me and they said, hey, because you've been working with, oh, it was not after a couple of weeks. It was like after a whole year or so.
Mm.
Then they said, hey, you've been working with AR, and Prasanna has been a long time, a friend of AR's who has been working on his stuff, and we would love to have you both as
Mm.
guests
Mm.
on this show that we're planning, where there are 100 musicians, and we're going to be playing a lot of AR songs, and we just want you and Prasanna to play like 1 or 2 songs. And I was
Mm.
like, oh, cool, awesome. And then he was like, and then they said Clint Valadares, who's who closely works with Berkeley, and Roger Brown, who's the
Mm.
director or was the director at that point of time. They said they'd love to have me as a guest and just
Mm.
show you around. They wanted to show me around how they conduct their classes and
Mm.
stuff and workshops, and they wanted me to meet Steve Bailey and Victor
Mm.
Wooten and stuff. I was like really excited because I always wanted to meet Victor Wooten and Steve Bailey. Those are some of my biggest bass idols that I grew up listening to. It was so crazy to see that both these worlds, which are so disconnected, where
Mm.
for me it was getting so connected.
Mm.
Like, who would have thought playing with AR would would end me meeting up with like Victor Wooten and Steve Bailey and Berkeley College of Music. It was like out of a dream or something,
Mm.
never even dreamt of. So it was like bizarre, but in a very good way. So I ended up saying yes to that, and it was my first international like traveling by
Mm.
myself. So I went to the US for that thing by myself for the first time, and my parents were terrified because I think I was like 17 or so. And they were like, oh my God, are we going to do it? I'm like, and I was like confident. I was like, yeah, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And my father started crying and all. It's like, I hope you're going to be okay. And
Mm.
I was like, yeah, it's going to be fine. Don't worry. And then I went and everything was fine. I met Prasanna, and yeah, everything went so good. I think I was there for like 4 or 5 days,
Mm.
and some funny moments where AR, I never thought like I was going to be sitting in the back when AR is driving. It was it was one day during that trip where he was driving and I was sitting in the back. Who else was there? I think Clint was there with me also.
Mm.
And he was driving. And I was like, wow, interesting. Who would have thought? And then he took me to the book launch of Herbie Hancock's. Herbie was launching one of his books, and
Mm.
we went to this book launch of Herbie's, and AR introduced me to Herbie, and I met Herbie Hancock, and
Mm.
he's talked about me to Herbie, and AR bought me his book, and I still have the book, and yeah, it was special. It was really special.
Nice.
And then the very following day, there was a rehearsal with the band, AR was sitting, I was sitting. Prasanna was not there yet, I think. He was coming on the following day, I think. And I was just looking at all the musicians in the band, the 100-piece band, and they were, playing all AR songs. And then AR went and he was doing something and telling all the students how he wrote the songs and stuff. And they were deciding on how to make little space for AR so that he can play a little bit and sing a little bit. And I was just, it was a good experience because I got to witness that. And then after he left, I was still there and I did a small rehearsal for the song Titi that I played on. So rehearsed with the band. They said, hey, why don't you take a solo? And I was like, okay, cool. And then I did the solo and next day was the performance. And was there any sound check? I don't remember having any sound check. No, I don't think there was any sound check. Right. Yeah, but so what happened is Prasanna came, he took his solo, and then I took mine. And when I came up on stage, there were a couple of technical issues, and I couldn't hear myself because my monitor just went off for some reason. But I knew the song. So what I did was I actually slowly made my way closer to the drummer. So I couldn't hear anybody, but I could only hear the drummer. So I went close just to get the time, So I went close and I played the whole song without hearing anything else. And after the show got over, AR came up to me and he was like, that was very nice what you did, like without stopping. And, you moved closer to the drummer and you did your thing. And it was great solo. And I was like, oh, awesome. Thank you.
Nice.
And so it was, I think he has seen me grow as a kid also, like from the very start to now I talk a lot. I and him have always been in touch via email, and I would always keep him up to date. And he would also ask me what you're doing and stuff, because he knew that I was very driven and very dedicated towards my work. And kind of almost like, checking up on me, like as if I'm his daughter, like, what are you doing? Who are you playing with? I'd be like, hey, I'm touring with this Japanese band. And then I'll be like, hey, I met Billy Sheehan today. This, I have these ideas. What do you think? Stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Super. So, very cool. And you obviously mentioned about Sir's driving. So driving you. I've heard stories about Sir's driving. What was it like?
Fast. Let's just do that. Yeah. I'm not going to say anything else, but fast. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool. Because obviously when I met him in the Trichy concert last year, that's when I told him that I want to be picking you up at the airport when you travel to Australia next. And he was like, only if you let me drive.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously you've toured with the band quite a bit, and I'm sure you will be for the years to come as well. What are some of the memories that comes to your mind with any of the tours? What stands out for you?
I think every experience, every tour that I did with him and the band is, so beautiful. And, I met my husband in AR's band and we became close because of AR's band. We became friends first in AR's band. So it was like, a lot of good things have happened and I got married, it's crazy to think that, so many things have happened because of me joining AR's band, like I got to meet Victor Wooten and Steve Bailey and all that during the whole tour. Like they may be not like closely related, but in a way, like there's some connection that happened because of the touring with AR and the band. Memories. I think some good memories would be, now it's very hard for me to remember where this was, but AR treated the band with Blue Man Group show. That was probably in Vegas. And then he treated us to a Broadway show also. He treated us on a cruise trip for like 3-4 hours where the band was just hanging and we got to eat some nice stuff and
That was in New Zealand, though, right?
enjoyed it. I
The
think so.
cruise.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you're right.
Because I remember
Yeah, I
you
think you're
guys.
right.
That was
Yeah,
you guys had finished the New Zealand tour, and then you were going to come visit Australia after that.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Yeah.
that was New Zealand. Yeah. It was beautiful. It was my first time there, and yeah, we got to have some close time with him. He loves cameras and he loves shooting and stuff.
Yeah.
So he was actually, yeah, I am very scared of water and heights. So I'm like, I was trying to like go in the front. So you have to, how you have to kind of be on the edge of the cruise or boat, whatever you're in, and then kind of go. So I was like trying to walk and stuff slowly. And then AR is like, taking pictures and videos of the scenery and stuff. And then he said, hey, stand here. I want to take a close up of you, do a video. And then he started like shooting and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool. This is so fun. And then, so like a lot of like close moments we were able to have, the whole band,
Nice.
took a lot of pictures, ate a lot of nice stuff. And, there were some nice drinks and stuff. And what else? Some funny memories that I don't think anybody knows would be like, I used to have long curly hair back in those days. And one of the times I was chewing a gum, I had this habit of chewing gum in the show as well, playing. And I guess to just look cool. And one of my curl strands just went inside my mouth and the gum ended up getting stuck on my hair. And like, on the screen, like people could see and stuff, and nobody could figure out what that is hanging on my hair, So yeah, that was my gum that I was chewing. So now people know who were wondering. So a lot of like funny moments like that when like cameras in front of you and some accidents like that happen. You can't really do anything. You're still playing and that's like still hanging. And I remember this. Oh my God, how can I forget this? I think you were there in that show also. I was wearing this like really huge blue gown, okay, and I was on a riser, and there was this like featured spot where AR wanted me to come in the front and do a solo. What ended up happening is because my gown was so big, my trail of the gown, it ended up getting stuck in one of the nails of the staircase. Yeah. So I'm like, starting to make my way to the center spot of the stage, and I ended up getting stuck, and now I can't move. So now the spotlight is there, but there's nobody there. I'm still in the back, and then I just couldn't get rid of the thing. So I ended up getting stuck and standing on the staircase throughout the next song. And, they called for the next song because they didn't see me. So they kind of figured that something's wrong. Right. So my solo got cut for that show and we moved on to the next song. I had to play the next song from the staircase. I couldn't even turn around and go back. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
So that was really funny.
Damn. Yeah. Okay. And any memories of Australia? I have to selfishly ask. Melbourne and Sydney.
Oh, man.
The Melbourne concert was the best, by the way.
I forget things so fast. Oh, yeah?
Obviously, I'm from Melbourne. I was right in the front row. And I did travel to Sydney as well for the Sydney concert. But I felt the Melbourne concert rocked because obviously the audience were... You might remember the entire audience came to the front. And we were dancing like crazy. Yeah.
Yes, I do remember now. Yeah. Now that you say that, I do remember. Yeah. A lot of people and the security had to kind of move the crowd away for a bit. But I think AR was feeling it that night and he actually came close to the audience and shook a lot of people's hands.
Indeed. What memories comes to Australia?
I don't know. I'm a very like homely girl. I don't really like going out. So whenever I'm like touring or traveling, I just do my work and I come back. I like staying in the hotel room. I've never really had like friends to like hang out with and stuff. Australia, I don't have anybody there. So I was just, doing my work. And when I'm back in my room, I was recording for my clients and stuff. And I didn't get to see much of Australia, but next time I'm there, I will,
Because you have a friend now. So I'll take you around in the I Love ARR car. So I'll make it super memorable.
That would be nice.
Right. And one of your hardcore fans had a question for you. And so I obviously was bombarded with a lot of questions. So I just handpicked a few. And one of them was, hey, Mohini, why did you pick up bass than anything else? Why did you choose bass?
You know, now that I think of that, I don't think I chose. When you're three, you don't really know what you're doing, right? Music was floating in the house, having mom as a singer and dad as a bass
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Basses were, there was one bass hanging, and then throughout the coming years, a lot of basses were hanging and guitars were hanging. So I just started playing with it as if they were toys, like how if you have like a lot of I don't know, like footballs or basketballs or like Barbie dolls around a little girl, she'll start playing with it. I didn't have Barbie dolls.
Right.
I had bases, so I started playing with those, and then I had a thing for badminton, so I started playing badminton with my dad. We used to play a lot of carom
Yeah.
at home. So
Yeah.
so like I grew love for that. So I didn't like intentionally, like choose. It just kind of happened organically, and then I realized that I want to be a fashion designer. I never wanted to be a bass player, actually. I wanted to become a fashion designer. And that's why, with years passing by, I started like, designing and stitching stuff, tearing up my mom's saris and stuff and using them for gigs. Uh, and when I got offered to be a part of AR's band and the full scholarship from Berklee College of Music, and I had applied for a fashion college and I had gotten selected, there were 3 golden opportunities and I had to choose one. So I ended up going with, continuing music, which I was already doing and was good at, thinking that, hey, you know what? Makeup, fashion is all connected with, what I do. I can always do that in the coming years. So yeah, that's how it kind of happened. So I didn't like, I think I seriously started learning bass around the age of 8. I started enjoying it more. But I will say that it was never I've heard a lot of people say that. Yeah, a lot of people, because I've done like an interview series on my YouTube channel also called Watermellophile once, and I've had like Salim Suleiman and a lot of other international artists on my thing, and they've said that, I've always known I wanted to do this and I never wanted to do anything else. For me, it was different. I wanted to do other things and I still want to do other things. I don't limit myself to just music. I like to see myself as unlimited, and I want to do things that I love. Like, I want to go to a fashion college and learn to stitch properly and learn how to make corsets and suits and, all those other things. I think you can still do it if you have the hunger for it, and you have to make the time to do it. That's the first step.
Nice.
So yeah, I think I tell my students all the time, like, don't be closed-minded and be like, oh, I only want to do this, which is okay. It's a subjective thing, but I like to tell my students that, be open to everything. You never know what happens in life. There might be something that will excite you and you might want to do that also. So yeah, I think as Indian kids growing up, we are taught to, be focused, like, and very strict around the house. Like, you have to do this well before you go on with anything else, which is true. You don't want to be distracted, because then you'll end up giving half focus and like 50% energy to this and 50%, and you'll kind of wear out over time, and then you won't have any energy to do anything else. But when you're an adult, you start knowing more of yourself and how you like to work and what you want to do in life, what you want to live with throughout your life. I think you can make a better decision after you're an adult. Like, now I know that, oh, you know what, I made the right choice when I was younger to continue music. That's why I have all these things that I have and I'm blessed with now, that I never even dreamt of. But now I can also pursue all the other dreams that I had as a kid growing up,
Indeed.
So it's always nice to be open-minded and not be like, oh, I already chose something. Now I have to stick to it. You don't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
You do you.
Nice. Nice. Beautiful. And so what's cooking in Mohini's kitchen? What's coming out soon? What can we?
That's literally my kitchen. Can you imagine? That's so funny. Well, I made shrimp curry today. No, I'm just kidding. uh, um, I have been recording and finishing my album. I know a lot of people have been asking for my album. I've been writing a lot of songs over the years, and I never could put them out because I always prioritized other people's work. And now finally that I have the time to focus on mine, I've been doing that and almost done with my album. People should hear it by the end of this year, hopefully.
Nice, great. Coming towards the end of the podcast. So if there was a message for Sir, what would that be? Via this?
Message for AR?
Yes, I know you can always email him and tell him, but a message on this podcast, and I'll share this with him.
That's a very hard thing. I don't know.
Come on, Mo, you can do this.
I think he already knows that.
He may have forgotten. You need to tell him.
No, we don't. So the relationship that I have with him is very, I don't know, it's like professional, but at the same time, like I said, he sees me as his daughter. I would like to think so, at least. He has seen me grow from the age of 15, and I'm 25 now, and I'm married, so he has seen a lot of me. And he always tells me that, like the first single that I released, Can You Feel Me? After that, he called me and he said, you can improve on this, you can do this,
Very
you can
nice.
that, you can do this. Yeah, so not many people do that, and I really appreciate he actually cares. Yeah. I love that he is a vital part. He plays a huge role, not only just, he can be like, oh, she's my bass player, she's in the band. He doesn't have to devote his time in listening my song. He doesn't have to do that, but I think he loves my work and he sees potential in me, and he has always told me, and he's always seen that how driven I am, and he's always told me that you're going to make it big, you're going to make it big outside of here also. And that's why he always, wants to know what I'm doing and stuff. And I like to keep him updated with what I'm doing also. And I really appreciate I think if I had to say anything, I would say that I really appreciate the connection that I have with him. And I really appreciate the feedback that he gives me, not only on my journey as a woman, but also my journey as a musician, as a bass player. And he has always told me that he would like to see me one day, not only as a bass player, but also as a producer and a music director. And now I've been, making a lot of songs and learning a lot about production and doing a lot of that. So hopefully one day, I get to work for him as a producer and probably as an arranger, that would be really cool. Because recently I wrote a song that had Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers playing drums, and I had to make a song on the track. So I wrote the song on that. And so slowly, because when I get hired for these like projects, I orchestrate my bass parts in such a way that a lot of people see that I put in a lot of effort designing and coloring a lot of the stuff that's there, and giving them a different vision, sometimes reharmonizing some sections, and they'll be like, oh, I actually like this, how about we use yours? So then I'll be like, okay, next time you hire me, you should give me writer's credit also.
Nice.
So a lot of my old clients have now started hiring me for composing and arranging their songs, which is really cool. So I think what AR said at one point is now slowly happening, which I'm really happy about. So
you probably could see it, I think.
Sorry?
He probably could see it happen. That's why he said that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. So I really appreciate all the things that he tells me and the connection that we have. I'm really happy that I was able to be his bass player, and I see a um, lot of I don't see my connection with him as something that was. I
Hmm.
think it is and will be
Will be.
always, which is
Indeed.
something I always cherish and love.
Amazing. And that's what I hope for too. So, obviously, towards the end of the podcast, I don't want to hold you up with your schedule. But with that said, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about while you're here? Maybe something that I may not have touched on, but you would have loved to talk about? If at all there's anything, I would feel free. Absolutely. I would love you to say it.
um I am not much of a talker, but I have been in LA for the past 1 or 2 weeks now, and
Yeah.
I'm here just doing my own thing and working on my album. And I'm
Mm.
really excited for my audience to hear my album, because they've been requesting and have been asking where I can hear your music and stuff, because they only see me playing with other people or working for
Yeah.
other people's projects. And so yeah, I'm really excited about that. And there are a lot of other collaborations that I am really excited to announce soon, which are confidential at the moment, so I
Yeah.
can't speak about it. But yeah, I don't have anything new apart from the album thing to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to thank all my fans and people who love me and have been following my work from the bottom of my heart. And thank you so much for being the way um, they have been throughout my whole journey. I
Mm.
don't think I would have been able to be who I am
Mm.
if it weren't for the love and support that they've given me.
Mm.
And of course, my hard work also. I wouldn't, let that go.
Yeah.
But for the little young kids out there who, aspire to be musicians and who aspire to be something out there, I'd say consistency is the key to, any type of
Mm.
success. So
Mm.
keep doing what you're doing and be dedicated. It's not the amount of hours that you put in; it's the amount of content that you put in and that you're working on. So be sure that you're practicing and learning the right things, and be consistent with it, and don't let anybody tell you what to do. And sometimes I have these people come up to me and be like, what are some things that I can learn from your experiences? I always tell them that, my experiences will not be the same as yours,
Yeah.
and so I will never tell you to follow my footsteps, which I think a lot of people will tell you to, but I would personally never say that. I would say, learn from your own intuitions and
Indeed.
listen to your heart and gut. And my background is totally different than yours, and that's why you will have a completely different vision and completely different set of experiences that
Mm.
I probably have never had. So
Mm.
you want to surround yourself with good people who will be able to give you good advice, but I don't think two people share same experience. It's
Mm.
very rare that people do. So I
Mm.
never say that, oh, I've had these set of learning experiences, so always remember that. No, I will never say that. You do you. And everybody's different, and everybody's life experiences are different, and
Mm.
outlook is different, and that's what gives you the voice.
Super.
That's what gives you your own personality. This is me, and there's always something to learn from your story,
Yeah.
which you should own up to, and in result will become your voice, and people will want to know how
Yeah.
you gained that. And
Yeah.
that's where your creativity comes in.
Indeed. Indeed. Super amazing. I'm sure this is going to be very inspirational for the aspirants who are going to watch this. And then, so lastly, before I let you go, top three ARR tracks. Super easy. Come on, Mo. You can do this.
Yeah, I can do this. I like Tanha Tana, I like Jia Jale, and what else?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Ray.
Cool.
Easy. Yeah.
Right. Oh my God. You're probably the only one who dared to say this, because most of the guests were like, okay, since it's easy, you go first and then we will go first.
Yeah, no, knows, AR knows. All of the songs are amazing, but top 3 for me personally has to be
Very cool.
those. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Before I let you go, let's take a selfie, and you can stay as you
Sure.
are. And boom, 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 and then just look at your camera, and I'll take a picture here. And right, the count of 3, right? 1, 2,
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Right. Cool. Got it. Right, Mo.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
thank you so much for making time. So yes, and looking forward to catching up with you whenever the next concert happens.
Absolutely. I'm back in the first week of February in Bombay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's
Cool.
hope.
All right, let you go. Have a great night, and ciao.
You too. Have your rest of the day.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
thank you for having me. Take care.
Bye. Bye.